After 9/11, our calling was to write a new chapter in the American story, to devise a new strategy and build new alliances, to secure our homeland and safeguard our values, and to serve a just cause abroad. We were ready. Americans were united. Friends around the world stood shoulder to shoulder with us. We had the might and moral suasion that was the legacy of generations of Americans. The tide of history seemed poised to turn once again toward hope. But then everything changed. We did not finish the job against Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan. We did not develop new capabilities to defeat a new enemy or launch a comprehensive strategy to dry up the terrorist base of support. We did not reaffirm our basic values or secure our homeland. Instead, we got a color-coded politics of fear, patriotism as the possession of one political party, the diplomacy of refusing to talk to other countries, a rigid 20th century ideology that insisted that the 21st century's stateless terrorism could be defeated through the invasion and occupation of a state, a deliberate strategy to misrepresent 9/11 to sell a war against a country that had nothing to do with 9/11. The political winds were blowing in a different direction. The president was determined to go to war. And there was just one obstacle, the U.S. Congress. 9 days after I spoke, that obstacle was removed. Congress rubber-stamped the rush to war, giving the president the broad and open-ended authority he uses to this day. With that vote, Congress became co-author of a catastrophic war. And we went off to fight on the wrong battlefield with no appreciation of how many enemies we would create and no plan for how to get out. Now, because of a war in Iraq that should have never been authorized and should have never been waged, we are now less safe than we were before 9/11. According to the National Intelligence Estimate, the threat to our homeland from Al-Qaeda is, quote, persistent and evolving. Iraq is a training ground for terror torn apart by civil war. Afghanistan is more violent than it has been since 2001. Al-Qaeda has a sanctuary in Pakistan. Israel is besieged by emboldened enemies, talking openly of its destruction. Iran is now presenting the broadest strategic challenge to the United States in the Middle East in a generation. Groups affiliated with or inspired by Al-Qaeda operate worldwide. 6 years after 9/11, we are again in the midst of a summer of threat, with bin Laden and many more terrorists determined to strike in the United States. A tragedy that united us was turned into a political wedge issue used to divide us. It is time to turn the page. It is time to write a new chapter in our response to 9/11. The president would have us believe that every bomb in Baghdad is part of Al-Qaeda's war against us, not an Iraqi civil war. He elevates Al-Qaeda in Iraq, which didn't exist before our invasion, and overlooks the people who hit us on 9/11, who are training new recruits in Pakistan right now. He lumps together groups with very different goals, Al-Qaeda and Iran, Shia militias and Sunni insurgents. He confuses our mission. And worse, he is fighting the war that the terrorists want us to fight. Bin Laden and his allies know they cannot defeat us on the field of battle or in a genuine battle of ideas. But they can provoke the reaction we've seen in Iraq. A misguided invasion of a Muslim country that sparks new insurgencies, ties down our military, busts our budgets, increases the pool of terrorist recruits, alienates America, gives democracy a bad name, and prompts the American people to question our engagement in the world. Our troops have fought valiantly there, but Iraq has deprived them of the support that they need and deserve. As a result, parts of Afghanistan are falling into the hands of the Taliban, and a mix of terrorism, drugs, and corruption threatens to overwhelm the country. As president, I will deploy at least 2 additional brigades to Afghanistan to reinforce our counterterrorism operations and support NATO's efforts against the Taliban. As 9/11 showed us, the security of Afghanistan and America is shared. And today, that security is most threatened by the Al-Qaeda and Taliban sanctuaries in the tribal regions of northwest Pakistan. Al-Qaeda terrorists train, travel, and maintain global communications in this safe haven. the Taliban pursues a hit-and-run strategy, striking in Afghanistan, then skulking across the border to safety. This is the wild frontier of our globalized world. There are windswept deserts and cave-dotted mountains. There are tribes that see borders as nothing more than lines on a map, and governments as forces that come and go. There are blood ties deeper than alliances of convenience, and pockets of extremism that follow religion to violence. It is a tough place, but that is no excuse. There must be no safe havens for terrorists who threaten America. We cannot fail to act just because action is hard. As president, I would make hundreds of millions of dollars in U.S. military aid to Pakistan conditional, and I would make our conditions clear. Pakistan must make substantial progress in closing down the training camps, evicting foreign fighters, and preventing the Taliban from using Pakistan as a staging area for attacks in Afghanistan. Now, I understand that President Musharraf has his own challenges, but let me make this clear. There are terrorists holed up in those mountains who murdered 3,000 Americans. They are plotting to strike again. It was a terrible mistake to fail to act when we had a chance to take out an al-Qaeda leadership meeting in 2005. If we have actionable intelligence about high-value terrorist targets and President Musharraf will not act, we will. I will not hesitate to use military force to take out terrorists who pose a direct threat to America.